Greetings, greetings. I think I might have muted myself, but just want to say positive energy to everybody out there, and welcome back to my Poet Podcast. I am Alex Murdoch, the Mad Poet. Hope everybody's doing well, and it's great to be here. It's been a positive, you know, experience, day, year, month. Man, it's just been great. So can't complain. So I just want to throw some good vibes out there, and salute to everybody. First and foremost, I want to say salute to everybody that supports this channel, whether you're a loyal follower of simply audio or even video and audio, meaning double vision, so to speak, or if you're deeper in the rabbit hole, as I like to express, particularly what I create, which is poetry and stories. Of course, most people know me for my poetry, so I normally lead with that, but yes, I am a story writer as well, to say the least, just in case anybody was curious, so to speak, or if you care. But yes, as I was saying, I appreciate all the supporters, everybody out there. It does not go amiss, people that have supported me, and sort of like a grassroots or just from a distance. It has been great, and I just want to say I appreciate everybody. But as you know, I am a writer and a spoken word performer. I've lived many lives, as they say, in this short space. To a degree, I always say, we're getting on, aren't we, after a while? But in the grand scheme of things, I would argue that, it is somewhat of a short space of time. Not necessarily been that long to many people's experience. But to mine, it's not even here nor there. There's no shame in my game. So when it comes to who I am and where I am in terms of like age, etc., man, it's been great. So I'm pretty proud of my age, so to speak. But as I was saying, to this degree, I've sort of realized that I've lived a lot, and perhaps that's what gives me so much fuel to want to put pen to page and express. So it's been positive. And as I always say, whenever I speak to people, it's always, hey man, just have fun with it. I think that's very important, to have fun with it. But yes, lived many lives in a short space of time. I've been on this rock. But I must say, one thing I've realized or made everything sort of worthwhile, especially at this point, is the fact that I didn't really necessarily know, I didn't know where I was heading, but I knew I had to keep going. It is daunting. Absolutely, it is. It's such a daunting concept to live. I would imagine a lot of people may argue, just like myself. And to a certain degree, it's sort of like treading in the dark, which is next to treading blind to a degree. It's kind of like you can't see around corners. It's such a daunting thing to just trying to figure things out. This would be at the beginning, of course, but over time, you find that things start to make sense after a while. You know, things start to make sense. I think about these things. I think about a lot of things, but of course, these things particularly, they stay with me. And after a while, they seem to just be like a cyclic, if that's a word, cyclic sort of situation where it comes, it goes, but it always comes back around. And it just got you back in that space where you're thinking about it again. And so I'm in this space thinking about it again, just like I'm doing now, you know? And I guess I have the chance, I've been given the chance through my many endeavors where I end up here to express about so many different things, especially my vision, viewpoints, all these things. And I consider it a privilege, first and foremost. Let's not get that twisted. But in my humble sort of speak, in my lane, which is very nuanced, of course, most may argue, I practice mastery. This very nuanced lane that I have is a sort of culture that I live, and this is what I've sort of kind of etched out for myself, so to speak, as in like this is how I did it. You know? One may argue it could be certain people sort of doctrine, maybe a creed. It's certainly not a religion, but I would argue it's a way of life. I'll go with that for sure. But I remain a student of many other masters, if not of their craft, but of a certain belief, of certain understanding about an aspect, or, as we just said, a nuanced place of being, you know? I think that's very important to have an understanding on, for sure, for sure. So that's the way I see it. Because in my opinion, there is no thing as arrival, when you live a certain life with a certain discipline, or in essence what I'm saying is being a student. You are either in it forever or you were always a part-timer. And what I mean by that is when it comes to, like I said, just being a writer or just an artist, which, somewhat coincide. It is exactly, that's the way I see it, it's like a lifetime commitment, lifetime job, a certain nuanced way of living, a certain culture. Now, as you know, we are individuals, so that's where the nuance way of living comes into it, I'd say, you know. It may sound harsh, when I say part timer, but it's the most subtle way I can put it. Another thing about the mad poet being me, I try my best to always be honest. So I'm brought to this place of my journey where I've created this world around me, in essence, through my own lens of creativity, poetry, talking about the complexities of the human condition and many things we all go through as beings. Now, I pretty much, like I said, I'm a student, so I probe into anything that comes my way, but I think you do something long enough, you become a specialty. There's a specialty there, or you have a speciality, or you develop a certain niche, and I think mine is the human condition. And so a lot of things I create, it goes towards exploring the human condition. These experiences that I've had, it could be argued, they connect to so many people, so many other people's experience and what they're going through, which is the point I'm trying to make, you know? The laws of the jungle is to survive. But what happens when you graduate beyond survival, being that the laws of the jungle is survive? What happens when you graduate? It had been a journey for me, and I consider it a privilege to be this far with things. Yet, still, just the beginning, you know? At least it feels like this. It feels like this. Pardon me. I have something to show you. Yep. Sorry about the noise. I needed to show this. It's sort of like everything just aligning, as they say. And this is, I remember a year ago, around these times, I had what came before this book. And now I have this book. And it just seems like a sort of alignment, you know? Yeah. Excitement. So this is Alex Murdoch, the Mad Poet, Poetry Event, Before I Self-Destruct. Need I say any more? Need I say any more? So, the book launch is on the way. The 18th of this month, which is June, at the Fire Pit Art Gallery. You will find me and my supporters. We're going to have a ball. You're all welcome. Anybody that appreciates what I do, you're all welcome. And I look forward to seeing you. With everything I've just spoken about, this is my most recent expression point that people can find my consciousness, so to speak, out there. And you can see, understand, get the essence of what I am, who I am. Alex Murdoch, the Mad Poet. And also, in addition to that, I would have to add that this makes 3, which is a box set. So I sell them in singles, and I also sell them in triples. So if you're making purchase from me directly, I sell in 3s. So that makes a box set. Just wanted to say that. But without further ado, I wanted to move on a little bit. A piece for you, or should I say a quote from a piece. This is the piece for today. A walk in depletion got me twinging at the mission, dragging no passion, all fodder but no cannon. Imagine Mad Poet without a throat, just a boat with no paddle, as a bike with no spokes. To tote at the rope but no mouth, as Pinocchio chokes on his own vomit of his own expressions. The mention, walking in a room with no gums, just dentures. The clinical effect, like the dentist with a Mac or a tech, about to take away all the counterfeit. About to take away all the counterfeit. I shall re-emit like a laser that never quits. A well with a belly that is unfathomable. That last line, unfathomable. A well with a belly that is unfathomable. Sure sounds like a lifetime student to me. I just wanted to say that. Beyond that, let's get into something. What would I like to speak about today? I'll begin like this. How is it moving for you, fast or slow? What moving for you? I'm glad you asked. So, how is life moving for you, fast or slow? Does it correlate with you in a sense of abundance or scarcity? If I could scrutinize or marginalize a little bit, I would say if you connect with this concept with abundance, meaning you think life is moving fast or slow, if you connect in a way that, you know what, is somewhat with abundance, then I would imagine there's some form of alignment there, meaning, life is moving the way you want it to move. Ergo, life is somewhat connected to a certain level of purpose, I would say. I think that's what we're looking for, that purpose. But let me not drag too far ahead before I've, just laid out all my cards. But we'll stay at purpose for sure. Purpose in life. It speaks to a sense of, oh, of course, let me not forget the other side. There is abundance, isn't there? But what about the other side, which is scarcity? If you're connecting to this fast or slow with a feeling of or sense of scarcity, like, things are gripping at you, or like a sense of discomfort, I'm not right, things don't feel right, etc. Your instincts, etc., kicking in, this is not right. Now, this is just my opinion, could be wrong. And I would love to hear somebody refute, but it speaks to where you are in life too, your purpose. Do you have one? Is that even important to you? I think about things like these, and I would argue these are defining factors, especially when you get to a certain level, a certain stage of your life. And I think we all know, let's be real about this, we all know. And, we reach a certain place, and it's been like this nagging thing in the back of your head where you're thinking about it all the time, but you're so used to being pushing it out of your head. You're like, what are you doing here? Get to the back, sort of thing. Or like, that you ever seen that guy that gets to the front of the line and you send him back to stand to go back into the line. I would say that would be that thing that we're speaking about now. You know? But in the meantime, let's explore this idea of purpose. Going back to the abundance now, or just to stay with purpose. A sense of being, a path, doing in relation to why you're here, purpose. If you've advanced to this level, then you know things are set in stones. Stones make solid foundations, correct? If justification, well, that's the thing, justification becomes optional. Meaning, you can justify a purpose or the purpose, but it's not really necessary. Perhaps I'll speak for myself at this part. Or I'll give a subjective take to a degree. Hint, hint. And then, we'll go from there. It is not a matter of, and this is just what where I am right now, perhaps. It is not a matter of justification. It's a matter of order. For some reason, I found in that statement a sense of pureness, pureness, and somewhat of an archaic type of resonance, pureness and archaic resonance. Archaic values even that predates when we were beings of mere instincts. If you're talking instincts, you're speaking of the unconscious. There's, let me just interlude right here and just extend that statement. If you're talking instincts, you're speaking of the unconscious, which is primarily an archaic place anyway, or primarily, like I said. According to Carl Jung, and that's why, there's so many things that we connect to, but nothing more resonating to us but to do with values of, archaic values, basically. And I find this so intriguing, so intriguing. And there's so many depth to go to it, but I thought it was important just to share this and just, explore this side of things, for sure. To conclude, this is this is just my take on things. Somewhat philosophical, but make of it what you will. Conviction is the dam that tips. To feel the person that is constant. Hence, you become a person of purpose. A person of purposeful being. Even I'm experiencing this part. A person to give back. A person to continue to feed this stream. Or a person to add to this flame. To make it bigger. For somebody else, And this will be the twist for me. Otherwise, why are we here? Why are we here? To never eclipse the best version of ourselves. No reason, just doing, just being. Are we supposed to be a greater version of the animals that were? A being that is above the basic instincts of a human being. And to me, this is where this starts. To be more than, to be something greater than yourself, or greater than one. And so, it's something I've been thinking about, and it all goes back to order for me personally. So many things to do with order. And don't get me wrong, I think we all want justice. But justice means nothing without order. And I don't know, for me, it's just right there. It just sticks right there. But yeah. So this is something that's been clicking in my head, and I just wanted to. I thought it was important. But I would love to hear people's thoughts, opinions, disagree or agree. I love it all. I would love to hear your take. Because this is about dialogue, and I think it's important to speak about these things. But yes, and as I said at the beginning, I appreciate, all the supporters and people that have supported me, support this channel, and support what this channel is about. June the 18th, the Fire Pit, 7 to 9, Fire Pit Art Gallery, 7 to 9. Poetry event, Before I Self-Destruct, is out now. I will leave a link and a link to Eventbrite for the event also. But yes, I would love to see some supporters, faces that I've never seen, faces I'm familiar with, faces that just all knew me, faces that have known me for a while, faces. And don't forget to say hi. It'll be a pleasure to see you. Until next time, I'm Alex Murdoch, the Mad Poet. Take care.